Previously on Avatar.
Hey guys, welcome back to Zane Customs. This week I'm going to be working on some fan art for Avatar the Last Airbender Episode 3, The Southern Air Temple. So if you guys remember from last week's video, this is the original sketch that I showed off. And in the last week's video I had two sketches and just asked you guys in the comment which one you think I should do. And I only had one person comment anything about which one I should do, so shout out to Thrain Korik. Super appreciate your comments, and decided that I was gonna go for the Avatar Roku statue. I was already leaning that way anyway, like I said in the video, and I just thought it made a lot more sense with the whole episode. What was the more vital scene? I thought it would be this moment. And one thing I decided to do pretty early on was turn on Symmetry in Procreate, which I actually had to Google because I couldn't figure out how to do it. But this being a statue, I wanted it to be fairly symmetrical throughout the whole statue, and we're just going to be looking at him head on, so you don't really need any, it's not going to be from the side, so it would be pretty symmetrical. And you'll see once I start coloring, I turn Symmetry off, because even though it is a statue, it's hand carved, or I'm assuming it is. I don't know if, in the lore of Avatar, if earthbenders can somehow make these, but I just kind of assumed it was hand carved, so there would be some inconsistencies. But for the base sketch, I went ahead and used Symmetry. And you can see on the side I have a lot of reference photos shifting through. I started with the reference photos from the actual episode of Avatar, but I also looked up a bunch from The Legend of Korra and this little statue someone 3D printed that I just found on Google Images, and just went back and forth between a lot of those. And again, I'm not, if you've watched my past videos, you'll know that I'm not trying to stay 100% accurate to these shows. And again, it's hard to stay accurate because, like I just said, from Avatar to Korra, there's differences. So, I'm not sure which one there really is canon, I guess. But I'm gonna have to take a lot of artistic interpretations. So, and through this whole stage, I'm just using the basic pencil brush under the sketching tab, and to get all the different shades, I'm just tilting my pencil sideways. And actually, I didn't do this with my past videos, which you guys probably would notice if you've seen the past ones. I just did a quick sketch and then kind of hopped right into coloring. But I thought it would be a lot more efficient and be quicker if I could do some rough shading, just to kind of get an idea of what I'm going for. And I didn't stay exactly true to my initial shading, but it did help a lot, I think. And now here I'm working on the Aang. The Aang outline took a lot longer than the Roku, just because I kept going back and forth between a bunch of different poses and not sure what I wanted to do. Like, this is originally what I showed in my last video, where he was kind of surprised and looking up at the statue with its eyes glowing. But then I thought maybe I would do a similar thing to the Roku, where he's just symmetrical, just kind of standing there, a little bit less energetic of a pose, a little bit more somber. But that didn't really fit Aang as a character or the scene, because he just has this statue with its eyes glowing. So I ended up going with more of the original design, where he's kind of surprised looking up at the statue. And here you can see the recording throughout the video will kind of hop between zooming in and out like I'm doing here, or just kind of a static recording. And that's because Procreate will actually record the whole video as you go along. So if I happen to miss anything through my screen recording, I could just go into the Procreate recording and edit that in here. And it's something I had so much trouble. I've been having a lot of trouble with and continue to have trouble with into this video, because for some reason when I hit screen record, then I'll start doing my thing, painting, whatever. When I go back to end the recording, it's just off. It's like I never pressed screen record and it doesn't save the video. And I know I did press screen record, so I don't know what keeps happening there. It's unfortunate because I prefer to do the screen recording version like this, because you see my whole process where I zoom in and zoom out, rather than Procreate's recording, which is still nice, but it's one, the painting is static and then you just see it getting edited, which is really good for something like Instagram or something like that, where the videos can't be that long. So time-lapsing, this painting that took me hours and hours to do, time-lapsing it down to 30 seconds, it would be a lot better that way, rather than zooming in and out, because it'd be moving so much you couldn't tell what was going on. But in this instance, where I'm gonna make a YouTube video out of it, I prefer to be able to zoom in and out. And I just keep having a lot of issues with the iPad's screen recording application. So unfortunately, that's something I've been trying to figure out why it keeps doing that. Have had it do it when I'm in Procreate or Sketchbook or some of my sculpting apps like Forger. I don't know what the deal is, but it happens a lot. But back to talking about the actual piece. When it came to coloring Roku, it was really tempting to just color him grayscale, which is something I used to do. I would color my whole piece in grayscale and then add the color on top of that and blend them with an overlay layer or something like that. And you can get some good results. I'm sure there's professionals out there that do that. They're a lot better than I am, but I just never liked the way it looked. And I always wanted to be able to just hop in with just the pure colors and not have to worry about just doing shades and tones and grayscale. I wanted to be able to do that with the colors, and because I think the more I do it, the better I get with it. So that's something I wanted to do. But I struggled with it quite a bit with this one, because it's all this really dark blue color and the different tones and shades of that. But going back and forth between them, he was just looking a little bit too human, which is good in one sense, but I wanted him to look like he was a carving made out of stone. So one thing I ended up doing was adding this stony texture that I found in Procreate, and added that across there, and then went over wherever I kind of took these as like cracks through the stone. So I'd go in and add highlights or more shadows depending on where the cracks laid on his body and different things like that. And I absolutely love the way this piece turned out. I think if I had more time, I probably could have taken it even farther and made him look even more stony. But doing that and then using a noise brush, which a noise is basically like if you guys used to have old TVs and you'd go to channels that you didn't have service on, and it was just like that gray fuzzy screen. That's basically what noise is. And a lot of people can just use it to fill in spaces if something's too flat or too clean looking. You use this in sculpting too. You just go in with what's called noise, and it just adds a little bit of texture. And it's not always the right move, but for this, where it's supposed to be stone, and I don't want it to be perfectly smooth like glass or something, adding in this noise texture really helped bring it to life. And then all these cracks on top of that made it even better. And I don't know really how fast stone like this would crack, because presumably they made this statue of Avatar Roku 112 years ago, because Aang is 112 years old, So, like, realistically, maybe the sculpture wouldn't have all these cracks in it. And I think in the show they don't have all these cracks, but it was just one thing I thought I could do to kind of bring it to life and make it look more like it's actual stone. And then when I did, I just fell in love with the way it looked, and just decided to stick with it. But one other thing that was a little bit of a struggle too was making, even though I got this the noise and the crack texture going across, a lot of the parts of the statue looked like it was stone, but certain parts, especially his robes, the farther down they get, they looked a little too thin. And I know, like, I've seen some stuff where people can carve stone really thin, and it looks really cool, but it was really kind of a struggle for me because I wanted it to look thick enough like it was stone and hand carved, and not something where they went in with like diamond tip power tools and were able to like slowly sand this away. But at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, I was kind of thinking about like the lore of the world, and there are earthbenders that could probably do something like this. I don't really know the limitations, but then I was going back and forth and was like, well, Aang finds this statue in the Southern Air Temple, so presumably it was carved by airbenders, so I don't really know. Like I said, in the end, I was really happy with it. Like, certain things I did with his beard and his hair, like I said, I didn't want it to look like it was a real person. I wanted it to look like it was stone, so I didn't try to add every single strand of hair, because you don't really see that so much in sculptures. And one thing that doesn't really show on the screen here, but I was looking up a lot of Greek sculptures, and those vary a lot as far as like realism goes, but I just tried to find a good balance. Like I said, I wanted Roku and his his robes and everything to look pretty realistic, but I didn't want his hair to go too realistic with his hair, because I think that would have just kind of broke the illusion of it being stone. And now I finally got to work on Aang, and one thing I love doing is actually finding screenshots from the actual episode and then using the eyedropper tool, which for those of you who don't know, is basically a tool you can hover over any color and it just picks that color for you to use. And so that's what I did. I found these actual scenes from Aang finding the Roku statue and used that, and that's how I got my base colors for the Roku statue and for Aang in his clothing. And I like doing that just because it's accurate to the scene and how the lighting is and everything in there, but also I think my colors turn out a lot better because I kind of just default, like color-wise, I like to just default to what the color of his actual suit would be if it was just in a normal lit day. But obviously he's inside, and the scene they set up has this blue light going over, so I wanted to match that. But one thing I did do that's different from the show, was he does have these highlights on the back of him, which in my mind is just basically the light from outside coming in through the doors behind him or windows or whatever it would be, and lighting the back of him, and then having that kind of bluish light from Roku lighting the front of him. And I did this a lot with the previous video I did of Aang going Avatar State for the first time and Zuko standing on the boat. I had Aang being lit from the sky, but also from the glowing water, and then had Zuko being lit from Aang's glowing water, and then a fire behind him, and different things like that. And I like doing that. I think it makes everything look a lot more cinematic, and it's just funner to paint when you have more interesting things going on like that. And like I did mention this in one of my videos, I can't remember which one, that I'm not trying to stay super accurate to Avatar. I am accurate to a point, but if I change little things about their costumes, I'm fine with that. For example, in the last video with Zuko, I changed his costume a lot. I like to leave the basic silhouette, but I changed it a lot, and in future videos where I may have Zuko, I may change that more. I may leave it how it was in my last video, I don't know. But like just going from my last video with Aang and Zuko to this one, I feel like there is some subtle differences in Aang's suit, color-wise, and nothing too noticeable. Again, I love Avatar. It's my favorite TV show of all time, so I do want to be accurate to it. I'm not trying to pull M. Night Shyamalan and like redesign everything and make it look like it's not even Avatar anymore. But I do like the idea of kind of taking a more realistic approach and getting a lot of inspiration from real life things. So, you know, with my last one with Zuko, I got a lot of inspiration from actual samurai armor, so that changed his suit a bit. But I don't want him to just look like a samurai. I want it to look like something that would be alive in this in the Avatar world. So that's why with Aang's suit, I don't really change much, because the airbenders, if I remember correct, were based around Tibetan monks, and Tibetan monks don't really, like clothing wise at least, they don't have any similarities to what the airbenders wear. You know, they don't have these bright yellow and orange colors and these poncho, whatever he's got, the kind of poncho air thing that Aang's got. There are subtle similarities, but really it's not very close, so I just thought it would be better to keep to the classic suit for Aang. And then, like I said, when it comes to Roku, I got a lot of inspiration from the actual Avatar the Last Airbender scene, and then also some concept art I found from The Legend of Korra. Kind of got inspiration from both of those, and then just kind of did what I wanted with it. And one thing I actually considered doing with Roku's statue was just making it way more ornate and detailed. Like, for example, on his chest armor piece, whatever you want to call that, he's got a little fire insignia in the center of it, which is accurate to the show, and I thought it looked way cool. But one thing I thought about doing was going into all the stone and adding little more fire details, and maybe some little designs that hinted towards dragons, and just different things like that. Make it way more ornate, because he is the Avatar, so I thought that it would kind of fit. But I tried that and it didn't really look good, so I ended up just sticking with this. I think just having it plain and simple looks better, but that's something that I really like the idea of that. So in the future, I was maybe like when we start to see the Fire Lord, and like or you know, just like people, kings or anything like that are higher up in the world, given a more ornate, more detailed, like almost ceremonial looking clothing is something that I think is really fun to draw and to paint. So that's something I might do in the future. And here we are with Aang's hands once again. Hands are the bane of my existence. They're the hardest part of this painting for me, was his hands, just like with my last one. Unfortunately, with my last one, I was able to just kind of make fists, and Aang was pretty small, and he was the background character in that scene. So his hands weren't a huge focal point. You weren't close up on him, so if they didn't look super detailed, they didn't look that bad. Unfortunately, with this one, Aang's a lot closer to the camera, and I don't want to just make fists. I want his hands kind of splayed out, like he's surprised. And I do have one of his hands just in a fist, but anyways, I went back and forth a lot with these hands, just because I wasn't happy with the way they were looking. And even with Roku in Avatar, the sleeves on his robe, they cover his hands, and then in the Korra concept art, you can see his hands. He's holding his hands right in front of his chest, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with that, but every time I tried to add in hands at all to the drawing, it just looked bad. So in the end, I just left it how it is, just kind of shadowed. And that's the one thing that I'm still unsure about with this painting. I'm super happy with the way everything turned out, but I don't know. I think about maybe in the future going in and adding hands, just because I feel like it looks a little off. And then I'm just going to add in some lights and stuff to kind of hint at all the other Avatar statues in the background. And I also have a hint of another statue on the left there, but it looked weird, so I ended up taking that out. I think it looked better with really having Aang and Roku mainly being the focal point of this whole statue. Anyways, yeah, I'm super happy with the way it turned out, especially the way Roku looks. And yeah, just absolutely love it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Super appreciate anybody that's willing to like, comment, subscribe, anything like that. Super appreciate it. Helps me out a ton. And I'm definitely going to be doing more of these, so I'm going to show you a couple quick sketches for my next Avatar video. So here we have Uncle Iroh giving Zuko some bad news, and he loses his temper, and the candles go all berserk. This one would be good because I just always thought it was such a cool scene, seeing the candles explode like that, and also this would be our first look at Uncle Iroh. And then this is the one I'm leaning towards a lot more. That episode's called The Warriors of Kyoshi, so I thought just a picture of the Kyoshi Warriors would be probably the best idea for the next video. I like to give multiple options, but I couldn't really think of anything that would be good other than this one. But that's why I showed the other one with Zuko, just because I like to give multiple options. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, which one you guys think would be better, or if there's a scene that I'm just completely forgetting that would be a better, much more iconic scene. Hit me up in the comments and maybe I'll do that one too. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.